This footage was recorded in 2015 by a street surveillance camera in Brazil, and it spread rapidly online due to just how difficult it was to make sense of. At the start, everything seems completely ordinary, a typical road, pedestrians going about their day, nothing out of place. But then, if you pay close attention, a black cat enters the frame, and that's the moment things become genuinely hard to rationalize. Keep your eyes on the screen. In the recording, the black cat approaches a heap of garbage sitting in the corner and stops for several seconds. Then, without warning, the trash ignites, and almost simultaneously with the appearance of the flames, the cat turns and walks away without any urgency. That's the moment that sent this clip across the internet. Certain viewers insisted the cat was actually a disguised witch, and that it had somehow caused the fire before calmly departing. That idea picked up traction because there's no visible smoke or any indication of fire before the animal showed up, making it difficult to argue the blaze had already started. Others pushed back with a more grounded explanation, proposing that someone in a nearby building may have dropped a lit cigarette or match that fell into the trash right at the same instant the cat happened to wander past. Even so, what the footage appears to show is undeniable. The fire starts at the precise moment the cat arrives. Whether it's pure coincidence or something far stranger, the timing alone has kept this video circulating in debates ever since. So what do you think? Rocky Mills is a YouTuber whose content tends to follow a pretty predictable pattern, but one particular upload breaks that mold in a seriously unsettling way. In the video, he describes how, after spending a good amount of time working on a property, he started to get the feeling that someone might have been secretly living there. So he pulls out his phone, hits record, and goes through the place methodically, checking each room one by one. Nothing seems off at first. That is, until he makes his way down to the basement, where things take a turn that's hard to explain.
Hello? Hello? Who is it?
There's a real case to be made that this footage is authentic, appearing to show some kind of poltergeist activity happening inside the home. Rocky's reaction in the moment doesn't look staged either, which only adds to the creep factor. So where do you land on this one? Is this a genuine encounter with something paranormal, or just an elaborate stunt put together out of sheer boredom? That call is entirely up to you. A video posted by Reddit user Whole Negotiation 1843 to the True Cryptozoology subreddit a little while back has been generating serious buzz, and honestly, it's not difficult to understand the reaction. The footage looks like it was shot years ago on an old camcorder. The person holding the camera is strolling through a forest in the middle of the day, casually glancing around until they stumble upon something that stops them cold. As the cameraman pushes in for a closer look, a towering, impossibly slender figure becomes visible in the distance. It edges forward slowly, its body moving in a way that looks fundamentally wrong, almost like something is just slightly off about every part of it. The longer it lingers on screen, the harder it is to watch. Its movements don't follow any natural pattern, and there's an unsettling quality to its presence that's tough to put into words. Anyone with a passing knowledge of cryptid mythology will recognize this immediately. The Wendigo, a creature consistently described as gaunt, towering, and tied to deep forests and solitude. That said, there are those who lean toward a more rational interpretation. The figure might simply be a person, perhaps someone in a disturbed state, whose silhouette and behavior read as far more sinister thanks to the distance, the low camera quality, and the sheer isolation of the environment. Whichever explanation you land on, ancient folklore, or a deeply unsettling human encounter, the outcome would be equally terrifying either way, because when something starts closing the gap between you and it out in the middle of nowhere, you don't exactly have time to figure out what you're dealing with. Our next video comes from Compton, California, where a woman claims her Ring doorbell camera picked up a deeply unsettling intruder creeping along the side of her home late one night. She says she has absolutely no clue what she's looking at, but the clip has been setting alien-focused subreddits on fire. So the question is, are we looking at a grey extraterrestrial casually wandering through a residential neighborhood? Or is this whole thing one carefully staged fake? That's for you to judge. It had spent enough years in that house to know when something was off. Strange things had happened there more times than he could count. One night, with only his dogs for company, an unexpected noise from another room shattered the quiet. Here's what his camera recorded.
What's going on? Is that?
The dogs were on alert immediately, and then a second sound echoed from somewhere deeper inside, filling the room with a tension that was hard to shake. He ended up sharing the footage online. About half the viewers are convinced the house is haunted, while the rest have come up with their own explanations. Now that you've seen it, the call is yours. In this video, a man goes through a deeply frightening experience right inside his own house, capturing everything on his phone. The footage is broken up into multiple segments, each one documenting a string of disturbing incidents. Among them, unexplained noises, objects shifting on their own, and then, near the very end, something that will genuinely make your jaw drop. A shadowy figure slowly emerging from behind a wall. See for yourself what unfolds.
What's the matter, bud? What's the matter, big guy? Huh? Something down there? Oh. What'd you hear, buddy? Fuck. Just put this on. What's that? What the fuck? No. What the fuck? Hello? What the fuck? Shit. Oh, shit. There's gotta be something. Oh, Whoa. More noises. Whoa. Oh, shit. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So as you watched, right from the opening moments, the man is confronted with one unsettling thing after another. Bizarre sounds, items moving without any explanation, all of it caught on his phone camera. But it's the final moments of the footage that nobody could have seen coming. A creepy figure materializes from around a wall, sending him into a panic. Yet when he cautiously makes his way toward the room to investigate, there's absolutely nothing there. So what do you think is going on? Drop your thoughts down in the comments below. The aunt and his partner looked like they had it all. A massive home, expensive furnishings, one spoiled dog, every corner spotless and shining. I'm dead. I'm watching TV. I'm looking at you. But peel back that polished exterior, and something dark had already crept into their lives. It began the moment they moved in and cracked open a narrow closet that felt unnaturally cold. Inside sat a porcelain doll, its hollow glass eyes staring at nothing. From that point on, nights became a parade of slamming doors and disembodied whispers, and so Duletta swore he'd confront whatever was haunting them directly.
Once before, years ago. And the reason I've only used it once is because it's a giant mess. But the goal is to surround this closet with flowers.
All right, he scattered flour across the hallways, hoping to capture a supernatural footprint from whatever was tearing through the darkness at night. But that strategy collapsed almost immediately. Turns out he never even needed the flower, because this entity wanted something far more intimate than leaving footprints.
What? Look at the doorknob.
What are you doing?
Grabbing my camera. Stay here. Hello? Oh my God. Look at that.
Under a UV light, luminous handprints burned violet against the walls, 10 times more unsettling than anything Flower could have revealed. Another clip shows the bedroom door, shaking them both awake. So an exhausted Duletta tried a different ghost trapping approach.
Desperately need sleep. So tired, which means that I'm gonna try something that I've never tried before. So I read that salt acts as kind of a spirit barrier. So we're just gonna surround the closet with a big circle of salt. Kind of a...
He laid down a salt circle, said a prayer, and climbed into bed, hoping for the best. Then at 1:57 in the morning, the darkness made its move again.
I can't take this anymore. I will leave.
No, please stay, please stay.
What are you gonna do about
I
it?
don't know. Go away! I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. Where are you? Hold on, let me turn off my neon light. Oh no. What do you want? No. No.
Strange letters appeared scratched into the walls, like spectral graffiti, while the salt ring sat completely undisturbed, scattered as though by a breath. After sealing the doll's closet shut, Duletta believed the ordeal was finally behind him, until a brand new sign showed up. How could anything reach that height and leave behind something so precise?
We have to Ouija. Come on, we have to do this.
What was that?
Yeah, it's back in the house.
No.
Yep, now I gotta go clean up.
Does this thing carry the force of something inhuman? Cabinets flew open, pots launched across the room, and every door in the house crashed wide simultaneously. Shaken to his core, Doolittle swept through the rooms with his UV light and found even more disturbing messages burned into the surfaces. But that wasn't even the worst of it. Fresh claw marks tore through newly applied paint, and sharp clicking sounds rang out just inches behind him. He turned around and went completely still.
Hello?
Whatever was standing there, spirit, demon, or something else entirely, honestly, we would have bolted too. His partner did exactly that, right after Doolittle made his next critical error.
I got a Ouija board. For years, Kristen was telling me not to do it. And earlier today, she found out that I bought one and decided to leave the house. So we're all alone tonight, except of course for our special guest. The setup was pretty straightforward. I've got multiple cameras rolling.
He brought out a Ouija board, and you can probably imagine how that played out.
Let's begin. Is there anything here with me right now? Hi. Yeah. Hi.
The seance looked almost too polished, too rehearsed, yet Giulietta never once touched the planchette. Here's the twist. This man goes by the Julianator online. Look him up and you'll find a quiet little channel with around 7,000 subscribers, dedicated to polishing silverware, not summoning the dead. Since this whole story exploded in popularity, every eerie TikTok clip has disappeared without a trace. Fake profile, stolen footage, or a jeweler moonlighting as a ghost hunter? Something here just doesn't add up. Leave your theories in the comments. We genuinely need to hear them.
What do you want? No.
In April 2023, a peculiar piece of footage made its way onto Indonesian national television. It was captured inside a mall's parking structure during a fire evacuation, as crowds scrambled out in a panic. For just a brief moment, a dark, shadowy form became visible at the far end of the garage. Many viewers believed what they were seeing was a Pontianak, a vengeful female spirit rooted in Southeast Asian folklore, said to manifest following a woman's death in childbirth. Plenty of people wrote the footage off as a hoax, but others weren't nearly as convinced. And whether or not it was a Pontianak, one thing was hard to argue. Whatever it was, it didn't look anything like a person. A woman had just relocated with her family to a new home, but within days, inexplicable things started occurring inside the house. Unable to make sense of what was going on, she decided to document it on camera. One afternoon, while she was in her bedroom, a strange sound suddenly rang out from the bathroom. She snatched up her phone and hit record immediately.
Okay, so I have been trying to catch this on video for at least 2 weeks now. I have been seeing things move. Everybody thinks I'm nuts. I know what I saw. There's nobody here. My doggy. Okay. Okay. Come on, ghost. If there's a ghost in this house. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Hey. I told you. Okay. I'm not crazy.
The woman was completely shaken. She later revealed that when she went back through the security footage, the exact same thing had occurred at a time when the house was completely empty. And it didn't stop there. 2 days after that, while home alone, she heard that same unsettling noise coming from the bathroom once more. Here's what her camera picked up.
Noises. It's okay. It's okay. Shh, sit down. You scared? Yeah. Sometimes you hear noises, sometimes things get thrown off the counter. I just want to make sure that you see nothing, because this is really creepy. I'm so over it. Come on, John, hurry up and get home. Can you stop, please? Sometimes things get thrown off the counter. Sometimes the water gets shut on. Sorry, turned on. It's really creepy. Where's it? Where's he? Where's he? I don't touch it. It's just the cat box.
But the woman wasn't the only one being affected by these disturbing events. Her entire family had also begun experiencing this terrifying ordeal firsthand.
Mom! Where is it? Okay. Oh, it's right here. Oh my god. Oh my god. Mama! The door is open again!
On a night when everyone had gone out and the house sat empty, the living room security camera recorded something deeply unsettling. See for yourself what was captured. There in the hallway, a dark, semi-transparent shape materialized. It drifted slowly through the space before vanishing without a trace, almost as though it was deliberately avoiding the lens. The family was left horrified after watching what the camera had caught. So, is this house genuinely haunted, or do you have a different explanation for all of this? TikTok user Cuba Koi made a choice that would transform his living space into something out of a horror film. He bought a mystery box on eBay for just $5, and tucked among various household odds and ends, he found a porcelain doll. He left the box sitting on his table while he scrolled through more eBay listings. That's when his camera caught something that made him question everything about what he'd brought home.
Dude, I swear this box just moved on its own. Can we do that again? Oh,
Without anyone near it, the box suddenly slides across the table on its own. Moments after that, the doll's hand appears to shift position inside the box. Shaken to his core, Cuba Koi grabs the box and shoves it into his closet, closing the door behind him. Out of sight, out of mind. Or at least, that was the plan. It drops from inside the wardrobe. Cuba Koi edges closer and pulls the door open. Everything looks undisturbed at first glance, but the doll appears to be staring straight toward the closet entrance. He decides to keep the camera rolling, determined to find a rational explanation, but what the footage captures next only deepens his dread.
I was on my desk and I just heard the guitar play itself and it moved, I swear. Let's see if it does it again.
A guitar nearby begins to move on its own, shifting repeatedly, and then the knocking starts. 3 slow, deliberate knocks. In paranormal tradition, 3 knocks are considered a mockery of the Holy Trinity, a calling card of demonic forces. Up until now, the strange activity had stayed within his bedroom, but whatever had latched onto that doll was clearly gaining strength.
And I just heard the water in the bathroom turn on by itself. This is the first time something's happened outside my room. So, let's take it. If you're in here, can you move the curtain again? Do you want me to leave?
For the first time, something makes itself known beyond Cuba Koi's bedroom walls. He walks into the back room to find the faucet running with nobody else in the house. Then something begins tapping against the shower curtain from the inside. He yanks it open, but there's nothing there. When he heads back to his room, the doll has changed position again, this time angled toward his bed, as though keeping watch over where he sleeps.
Or it'll just move the shirt in the closet. Hey, if you can hear me, just move it again. can actually just go check it out. There's no one in here. It's not really, it's kind of cluttered, so.
A shirt hanging in the closet suddenly launches itself off the rack and lands directly on top of the doll, covering its face. But the situation only continues to escalate.
The light turned on its own while I was watching it. So now, light just turned off on its own. Hey, if you want me to leave, move. Again, there's no one. Sorry, it's kind of dark, but this guy or girl or whatever it is. Move it again. It was moving earlier. Move again. See that? Move it more. Still knocking, see? Anything else? Oh, not sure. Anything else? Knocking? Okay. If you can hear me, can you move something? Move it again? Oh shit. I swear that bottle just moved. Yeah, look, you can see the water.
A fan switches itself back on without anyone touching it, and then the lights start flickering on and off, with nobody anywhere near the switches. Cuba Coy desperately calls out, asking the entity whether it wants him gone, and objects around the room keep shifting in apparent response to his questions. The curtains move the moment he asks for another sign. Whatever arrived with that $5 purchase has begun asserting control over his entire home. Cuba Coy now finds the doll in a new position almost every day. Whatever presence bonded itself to that doll has made itself a permanent resident, and it has no intention of going anywhere. Gustavo Alvarez was marking his 10th birthday alongside his family at a small amusement park located in Maitland, Mexico. It was meant to be a light-hearted, joyful afternoon full of cake, laughter, and rides. After working up the nerve, Gustavo finally decided to take his first ever spin on a roller coaster. The ride started off just like any other, circling the track while passengers screamed and grinned. But during the second lap, something wasn't right. See for yourself what the camera picked up.
Honey.
¡Ay! ¡Ay, mamá, me da miedo! ¡Ay! ¡Ay! ¡Ay, me da miedo! ¡Oh, tu roña! ¿Otra vez?
Sí, son 5 o 6 vueltas.
¡Está bien recio!
Abajo no, abajo, en la parte de abajo no.
¡Que no se cae!
No,
¡Ah!
la pista. fue el señor que se iba, güey. Así es el juego aquí.
¡Tira un brincolín!
¿Cuándo?
¡Ay! ¡Ay! Aquí donde va, me da miedo.
A seat that had been completely vacant from the beginning suddenly appeared to be occupied. A dark figure was visible, sitting motionless, dressed entirely in black. Gustavo's mother initially assumed it was just the light playing tricks on her, but the shape only grew more distinct as the coaster kept moving. Afterwards, people from the area shared something deeply unsettling. Some years prior, 2 individuals had lost their lives in an accident on a much larger roller coaster that once operated on that very same piece of land. That ride was long since demolished, but many believe whatever was left behind never moved on. So just who or what was sitting alone in that final cart?
Spooky season, I have one picture that I got from a coworker years ago that is the greatest example of a ghost in a picture that I've ever seen. And the reason that I don't doubt its authenticity is because it is a live photo, and I'll show you how I'll do the live photo so you can see the ghost kind of swooping in. You ready for it? Okay, so this is the hiking picture. The girl didn't see anything on the hike, but I'll zoom in here and you will see her in a second. Boom. There she is. Look how pretty she is. Her sunken eyes and her smile. There's the live photo. I'll get a better angle there. I'll do it again. You can see her swooping. And then from farther away, you can just see right by her head. You can just see her swooping in. It's pretty spooky, man. I mean, it's hard to say that this...
Emerging from behind the shrubbery is a woman with a ghostly pallor, hollow eyes, and an unsettling, otherworldly appearance. Plenty of people who've seen this image are convinced it's evidence of something supernatural. Others aren't so sure, arguing it could just be someone who ended up in the wrong place at the wrong moment. So where do you stand? Drop your opinion in the comments below. First clip comes from a man who chose to venture inside an old, abandoned, haunted asylum located in Norwich, Connecticut. After spending time exploring the building entirely by himself and then heading back home, strange occurrences began taking place inside his house just a few days later. Once he noticed the unusual activity, he decided to speak out loud to whatever might be present, and what followed was this.
Knock if you hear me. Knock if you hear me. Knock if you hear me.
He asks it to knock if it can hear him, and sure enough, something responds. Almost immediately after, the activity intensifies and takes a turn for the worse.
Live right now because that's why. Hello. Hello. Is anyone there? What the fuck? What the fuck? Who is out? Oh my god. Oh my goodness, what the fuck? Hello, who is there? Oh my goodness, please stop. What the fuck? Please stop. Please stop. This is my house. Leave. Leave. This is my house. You're not allowed here. Leave. Oh my goodness. Hello. Oh my goodness.
Multiple drawers and cabinet doors appear to open and move completely on their own. Then on a separate occasion, he hears unusual sounds coming from the direction of the kitchen, so he grabs his phone and starts recording, capturing something that'll make your skin crawl. Pay close attention.
What the fuck?
A dark, shadowy figure can be spotted briefly peering out from around the corner before slowly pulling itself back into the darkness. The following night, he would encounter something far more disturbing. See for yourself what he managed to catch.
The fuck?
A pale, featureless face slowly creeps toward him through the dark before he jolts backward in shock. Completely terrified, he rushes back into the room and ends up spending that night at a friend's place. Since then, no further updates have been shared, leaving one burning question unanswered. Just who or what is heading into the mountains of Romania now? And this is one of those oblivious captures, the kind where the person has no idea what they've filmed until they get back home and review the footage. Take it in. Here's what he actually caught on camera. If you peer carefully behind that stack of branches, you'll spot a figure whose silhouette will immediately trigger something familiar in your brain. You don't even have to squint. The image of Bigfoot practically forces itself into your mind. As compelling as this footage is, it raises some real questions. What exactly was Bigfoot doing out there? Was he tracking this man the whole time? Did the two of them simply stumble into each other's space by accident? Or was the creature there with something far more unsettling in mind? Whatever the answer, you've got to admit the guy got incredibly lucky. Despite being within arm's reach of this thing, he walked away completely unharmed. And that's saying something, even given that Bigfoot doesn't exactly have a history of aggression toward people. In our next clip, a mother pulls out her phone to record her daughter after the little girl says something that sends a chill down your spine. The child claims something, or someone, is moving around inside the closet. She spotted the movement through the narrow gap at the bottom of the closet door, but had no idea what was lurking on the other side. Her mother was immediately alarmed, particularly because the household had already been experiencing a string of strange events over a period of time. Both of them had started to wonder whether someone might have been secretly taking up residence inside their home. That uneasy thought stayed with them, right up until things got even harder to explain. Cheryl, the mother, hasn't gone into full detail about every incident, but she's now convinced this goes beyond a simple intruder situation. On the particular day in question, Cheryl was working on her sewing in the bedroom while her daughter entertained herself nearby. Out of nowhere, the girl announced she could see something moving in the closet. Cheryl wasted no time grabbing her phone and hitting record.
Hey guys, just wanted to jump on really quick because I had to stop sewing. My daughter just said that something weird really happened, and we've been experiencing a lot of strange things lately, just different noises and stuff. Don't mind my mannequins, I sew for a living, so. Can you tell Mommy what you just said?
I think there's something under the door.
Under the closet door? Is that what scared you? It's okay. What?
One of her dressmaker's mannequins, already eerie looking on its own, suddenly started rocking back and forth without explanation before toppling over completely. Neither Cheryl nor her daughter were anywhere near it at the time. Both were standing well across the room. Overcome with fear, the two of them bolted out of there immediately. It's worth mentioning that the mannequins are a regular fixture in Cheryl's bedroom because she works professionally as a seamstress, using them to showcase completed garments. Just a few months prior, her daughter had been spending time in that same room when the camera recorded something that's difficult to rationalize. The girl walked toward the closet, apparently drawn by a sound coming from within. She glanced around the room, trying to locate the source, but found nothing visible. Something felt wrong to her, and she turned to leave. And that's the exact moment the footage captures what no one can quite account for. So what is it that the camera actually picked up? Late one night, a man spotted something moving outside and pulled up his security camera feed to investigate. What he found left him deeply unsettled. A pale, ghostly figure was making its way slowly down the street. It came to a stop, lowered itself into a crouch, and began scanning the ground as though it was hunting for something. For just a moment, its face turned toward the camera. The man had never encountered anything remotely like this in the vicinity of his house before. Eventually, the figure drifted off and vanished into the darkness. A man named Ethan was spending his last few quiet days alone before his partner moved in. He had been enjoying the silence, binge-watching shows, and relaxing without interruptions. Everything felt calm until something strange began to happen. Take a look. Late one night, while sitting in the living room, Ethan noticed the door handle slowly twitch. At first, he assumed it was just his imagination, but within seconds the handle started shaking violently, followed by soft, deliberate knocks. Heart racing, he approached the door and opened it carefully, but there was no one there. Trying to brush it off, he returned to his seat. The next day, while inside the bathroom, the same thing happened again. The door rattled aggressively louder this time. Ethan quickly grabbed his phone and recorded everything. When he opened the door, he stopped filming over the next few days. During one recording, he froze. Take a look. Something briefly leaned out, watching him. When he rushed to check, the space was empty, but the feeling of being watched never left. On an ordinary Tuesday evening, a young toddler is cheerfully wide awake in their crib, long after they should have drifted off to sleep. As the minutes tick by, they show no signs of settling down, until suddenly they pull themselves upright and fix their gaze on something across the room. Whatever they're looking at isn't immediately obvious, but once you see what unfolds just a few seconds later, it's hard to shake the feeling that something deeply unsettling was taking place. All of this happens while the child's mother is busy in the kitchen, completely unaware. You won't need to strain your ears to pick up on the voice that was recorded here. The little boy clearly reacts to it as well. But unlike him, most people will instantly sense that something is deeply off about what they're hearing. His mother later described it as sounding nothing like a human voice, though what it actually was remains unexplained. There's no question that it sends a chill down your spine, and that feeling only intensifies once you pay attention to the words being spoken. It's hard to make out with certainty, but it almost sounds as though it's saying, "Let me in." If that interpretation is correct, then the bedroom door swinging open on its own takes on a whole new level of dread. Like so many clips out there, the backstory here is pretty thin, but honestly, the footage speaks entirely for itself. No context needed. What's on screen is frightening enough to stand alone. The following video was recorded by a woman whose house was struck by lightning, and what started as a terrifying but explainable night turned into something she still can't account for. She'd been asleep when it happened, the kind of dead sleep where your whole body shuts off, and the strike came without warning. Watch. A blinding white flash tears through the room, the crack and bang of the impact hitting simultaneously, and seconds later, an alarm screams to life before cutting off just as suddenly. She sits up in bed, visibly shaken, and the first thing out of her mouth once the room goes quiet is asking whether her dogs are okay. That detail matters, because the dogs become a thread running through everything that follows. The house lost half its power in the strike, and what you'd expect next is a long, stressful night of waiting for the all clear. What actually happened was stranger than that. By the time firefighters arrived to inspect the damage, the scene inside had taken on a different quality entirely. The smoke hanging in the air, the low artificial lighting, the dogs somewhere out of frame, all of it was caught on the same security camera system. Watch closely.
I didn't even know. No, we were inside. We were there. Yeah. Then there was a boom. House shook. I thought it was like one tower. You go up. Number 4. That's what I mean, we've had like city blackouts. But the neighbors still have towers, so. Situation. And you have a breaker inside the house? Yeah, we have one. Well, let's just give it a check. It's in that back corner. That's possible. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's right there? Yeah, it's in that corner. Alright. Yeah, I never really opened up before. Breaker looks good over here. Okay. We'll check out the one on the outside as well. Okay. Okay. Do you think it's the outside one? Oh, let's take a look. It should be fun. Alright. Then, should we just leave it off? Probably. Now let's check the side of the house, okay? Alright. I'm going to go outside, guys.
You can hear the firefighters talking through the power outage. Calm, controlled, completely professional, but pay attention to this one firefighter. He keeps glancing back at the couch over and over like someone's sitting there, except there's no one there. And then look at the candles. 2 of them suddenly go out. No draft, no movement, nothing that explains it. Then as one of the firefighters moves through the living room, working near that same couch, the security camera captures something. Something no one in the room seems to notice. But here's the thing. It's what she found when she went back through the security footage later that changed the tone of this entire night. She was reviewing the playback, adjusting the brightness on her phone, and she directed attention to one specific corner of the room right at the moment of the lightning flash. Listen closely.
Maybe if I turn the brightness down. Oh, no, that's zoom. Okay. So watch in this right corner. Right when the lightning strikes. There. What is that? What is that? What is that?
During the fraction of a second that the room goes completely white from the strike, a small, dark figure is visible on the floor in the lower right corner, crouched low, close to the ground, solid black against the blinding overexposure. And then the image returns to the normal night vision view of an empty room. Her reaction goes from calm instruction to pure alarm in an instant. There, what is that? Some viewers think it's a camera sensor artifact caused by the electrical surge from the strike, a digital glitch born from the power fluctuation rather than anything physical. Others are less convinced, pointing to the figure's defined, non-geometric shape as something that argues against a simple sensor error. A few in the comments reached for the crawler label, a term used in online paranormal communities to describe pale or dark humanoid figures reportedly seen close to the ground, often in isolated or low-lit environments. Skeptics would say the image is too degraded and too brief to draw any real conclusion, and that may be true, but the flash lasted a fraction of a second, the shape was there, and whatever the dogs were reacting to all night, before the firefighters arrived, during their inspection, after that popping sound, it came from somewhere inside that house. So what exactly did the lightning reveal? Whatever that figure was, it was only visible because the strike lit the room up completely, and you have to wonder what else might have been there on all the other nights, in all the other dark corners that the camera simply wasn't bright enough to catch. Now in this next clip, someone is moving through what appears to be a darkened home at night, phone in hand, clearly already on edge. The breathing alone tells you that much before anything unusual even happens. A female voice calls out, "Amor," at the very start, the Spanish word for love, and then the shuffling begins. The person filming slowly works their way down from a staircase, panning across a room with reddish-brown tiled floors, a white door lined with multiple locks, and a heavy dark green curtain hanging to the left. Something about that curtain pulls the camera's attention. Watch. At the bottom edge of the curtain, two small, pale, bare feet are visible, motionless, as if whoever's standing there doesn't want to be found. The person filming whispers what sounds like, "Ay, Dios mío, oh my God," their breathing breaking into something between hyperventilation and suppressed sobbing. When they rush toward the curtain, the feet are gone, just empty space where a child-sized figure had been standing seconds before. Some viewers think it's exactly what it looks like, a child hiding, perfectly still, who slipped away in the chaos of the rush forward. Others aren't so sure, pointing to how quickly the feet vanished and how there's no sound of movement, no footsteps, nothing. If you focus on the bottom of the curtain in the moments before the rush, you'll notice the feet don't shift at all, not even slightly. So where did they go? The following set of clips comes from what appears to be a string of overnight security footage. Different cameras, different nights, but the same creeping feeling that something uninvited is moving through these spaces after dark. In the first clip, someone set up a phone running a camera app above their mirror, hoping to catch whatever had been unsettling them at home. The footage is silent throughout, so everything that happens, you read from the image alone. For a while, the hallway stays still, just a slightly open white door and the grainy green tint of night vision. Watch. That door swings slowly and smoothly shut with no one near it. No gust of air, no obvious cause. And then whoever was holding the camera leaves. They wrote it themselves. I got scared and left. What follows is them coming back with a handheld phone light, moving cautiously down the same hallway toward that bathroom door, which is now ajar again. Some viewers think a door closing on its own is easy enough to explain. A pressure differential, a draft from a vent, the house settling. Skeptics will point out the heavy editing, the multiple camera cuts, the text overlays, but it's hard to watch that door move with that kind of slow, deliberate smoothness and feel entirely comfortable with the draft theory. The second clip shifts to a different property and a different camera, a UFI security unit mounted on an outdoor porch, timestamped just after 5 a.m. on September 24th of 2023. No one is home, or at least no one is visible. Watch. What the infrared picks up is a translucent, wispy shape hanging in the foreground, shifting and undulating slightly, fibrous, almost web-like, moving as if caught in a faint breeze. The honest answer here is that this is almost certainly a spider web, sitting directly in front of the lens, lit up by the camera's own infrared LEDs. That combination makes ordinary silk look genuinely ethereal. But people online have flagged clips exactly like this one as evidence of ectoplasm, or what some older traditions describe as the visible residue of a spirit in motion, a kind of physical trace left behind when something passes through a space. It's not a widely documented phenomenon in any serious sense, but the image is striking enough that it's easy to see why the association gets made. Then there's the third clip. This one was recorded at 3:43 a.m. on October the 9th of 2023 from what looks like a balcony or patio security camera, looking down over a grassy walkway and a parking lot. Halloween decorations are scattered in the yard, a small metal skeleton near the railing, and then this happened. Watch. A strange figure materializes on the walkway below and moves quickly. This fits what many people describe as a residual haunting, a spirit or imprint that isn't reacting to its surroundings, just replaying a path it's traveled before. Indifferent to the camera, indifferent to whoever's watching. The timing across all three clips, 3 a.m., 5 a.m., the middle of the night, lines up with what paranormal communities often call the witching hour window, a period associated with heightened activity. Whether that means anything or whether it's just when security cameras happen to catch things no one's awake to explain, I'll leave that up to you to decide. This next clip was recorded at night inside what appears to be a dark living room. No main lights on, just the kind of heavy darkness that makes your eyes work harder than they should. A woman is filming her pet, a small animal named Sasuke, who seems completely locked onto something on or near the couch. She calls his name softly, clearly curious about what's caught his attention. Then she asks him directly, "What are you looking at?" Watch.
Sasuke.
Almost immediately, a dark figure appears to move near the couch. The movement is brief, but noticeable enough that many viewers replayed the footage multiple times to make sure they had seen it correctly. What makes the clip unsettling is Sasuke's behavior before the movement occurs. Animals are often featured in paranormal stories because they sometimes appear to react to things long before people notice them. In many accounts, pets are described as staring into empty spaces, tracking unseen movement, or refusing to approach certain areas of a home. Some paranormal traditions even suggest that animals are more sensitive to spiritual presences, capable of noticing things that remain invisible to human eyes. Whether that's true or not, Sasuke's attention never seems to waver from the same location. Then the figure moves. For some viewers, it's just a shadow shifting in a dark room. For others, the timing is what makes the footage difficult to ignore. The animal appears to notice something first, and only moments later does the camera capture movement in the exact area where he had been staring all along. So whatever was near that couch, it was enough to keep Sasuke's attention long before anyone else noticed it. The following video was captured by a man who had already grown used to being woken up in the middle of the night by things he couldn't explain, to the point where it had become a routine, something he no longer questioned immediately, but instead documented, almost as if he knew that whatever was happening would eventually show itself on camera. Before this night, he had been dealing with faint knocks at odd hours, objects shifting slightly out of place, and moments where he would wake up feeling like someone had just been standing over him, watching, only for the room to be completely empty when he fully opened his eyes. Over time, it became harder to ignore, especially when he started hearing low sounds at night, scratching, dragging, and at times something that almost resembled breathing, close enough to feel real, but never visible long enough to confirm. So when it happened again that night, when a loud sound suddenly pulled him out of sleep, he reached for his phone, hoping to finally catch something clear enough to explain it all. What he captured instead only made things worse. Watch. The door creaks open first, slow and deliberate, with no one near it. Then a small black creature lunges onto the bed directly at him, letting out a shriek that doesn't sound like anything domestic, followed by a deep growl. Many would immediately label something like this as a demonic presence, and in many reported cases, it's said that when something like this begins to feel comfortable within a space, when it's no longer hiding or limiting itself to small signs, it can escalate even further, sometimes attempting to influence or even possess the person living there. In this next clip, a man in Chihuahua, Mexico, had been running a studio space he'd been using for work. A cluttered, horror-decorated room filled with vintage masks, a porcelain doll, and a large, ornate mirror. He'd already lost a week's worth of security footage because the cloud trial on his camera system expired before he could save anything locally. Then, on a Tuesday night, while he was away recovering from an eye injury, his security camera triggered a movement alert at 9:10 p.m. He ignored it at first. It wasn't until Thursday that he finally came back to check, and that's when things got harder to dismiss. Watch. The security camera, the kind set to tracking mode, begins panning slowly across the empty room on its own, as if following something invisible. Then, a door that was slightly ajar in the background swings fully shut with deliberate, unhurried force. The doll by your right also moved without anyone in sight touching it. When the man arrives with his handheld camera that same night, he walks to a corner of the floor near the desk, a floor he says he'd left spotless, and points the light downward. Have a look.
Un poco. Yo había dejado limpio. Y hay unas huellas ahí. Esos días hizo bastante frío, hizo mucho frío. Bueno, para que alguien anduviera descalzo, lo dudo mucho. Para la gente de aquí de Chihuahua sabe que no se puede andar uno descalzo en la calle. Y luego miren, yo calzo del 9. Ese pie es enorme, está muy 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 grande. No es mi pie. O sea, la verdad sí está muy muy grande el pie. Y le digo, oí pasos.
A large, dirty, barefoot print on the floor. He holds his own shoe next to it for comparison. He wears a size 9, and the print is noticeably bigger, both in length and width. There was no sign of forced entry, so from that point on, the debate around what's causing all of this only intensified. Some people are convinced the activity is tied to a large mirror he brought into the studio. According to him, the strange occurrences began almost immediately after the mirror arrived. In paranormal belief, mirrors are often considered portals, reflective surfaces believed to thin the boundary between spaces. Many cultures warn that mirrors can act as gateways, allowing entities to observe, attach, or even pass through. If that's the case here, it could explain the sense of being watched, the movement being tracked, and the idea that something is present without fully manifesting. But others believe the mirror isn't the source, it's the doll. Dolls act as vessels, not necessarily haunted at first, but capable of housing or attracting a presence over time. The fact that the doll moves during the footage and that disturbances seem more physical, doors slamming, objects shifting, leads many to think the doll is what's anchoring whatever is inside that studio. And then there are those who think it isn't one or the other, but both. Some believe the mirror may have opened the door, and the doll became the place where whatever came through decided to stay. Until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. Now in this next clip, a couple decides to do something many people would strongly advise against. Sitting together in a darkened room, candles flickering around them as they place their hands on a Ouija board and ask whatever might be listening to make itself known. Watch. Before this moment, they had already experienced strange activity in their old apartment, which was located right next to a hospital, a detail that, for many people, immediately raises questions, because places like that are often associated with intense emotional energy, loss, and unresolved moments that some believe can linger. They reported hearing unexplained sounds, feeling watched, and noticing subtle disturbances they couldn't explain, which led them to wonder if something might have attached itself to them. So when they moved into their new place, instead of leaving it behind, they made a decision that would change everything, using the Ouija board to find out if whatever they had experienced before had followed them into this new home. Watch.
Anybody there? Is anybody there? Can you give us a sign? Can you give us a sign? Oh my god. There's no way. There's no way. Dude, there's nobody in here. There's nobody in here. What is going on? Oh.
Some viewers believe this confirms their fear, that something from their old apartment may have stayed with them. something that didn't leave when they moved, but others argue something far more unsettling, that it wasn't about something following them at all, but about what they may have invited in at that exact moment by choosing to use the board. And that's where the situation takes a more serious turn. Because people familiar with how these sessions are traditionally handled were quick to point out a critical mistake, something that might seem small but carries heavy implications in paranormal belief. The fact that they removed their hands from the planchette without properly closing the session or saying goodbye. According to those beliefs, that final step isn't optional. It's meant to close whatever line of communication has been opened by skipping it. Many believe they didn't just stop the session, they left it unfinished, leaving what some describe as an open doorway, something that doesn't simply close on its own. On another day, they decided to do it again.
Is anybody there? Is anybody there? No.
Jacob, we have to get out. We have to get out.
Moments like this are often used as examples when people talk about the risks tied to using a Ouija board, not because of what is guaranteed to happen, but because of what can happen when boundaries aren't understood or respected. The idea isn't just that something might respond, but that once that line is opened, it may not always be clear what exactly is responding, or whether it intends to leave when you're done. And that's the part many people overlook, because it's not always about whether something followed them from before. Sometimes it's about what they may have invited in, without fully understanding how to send it back. This next video was recorded by a man who has been documenting what he describes as an increasingly aggressive haunting inside his home. And by the time this footage begins, he's already terrified before he even reaches the bottom of the stairs. It started with smaller disturbances, noises in the night, his dog refusing to behave normally downstairs, a growing sense that whatever was in the house was no longer passive. He blames the spirits for recent bad luck in his life, including a car accident, and on this particular night, he grabs his phone and heads downstairs because something has set his dog off again. Watch.
Nouvelle vidéo, on entend du bruit, mon chien s'est énervé d'un coup. Devient catastrophique. Les esprits deviennent agressifs. Oui, j'arrive, ma fille. Et pire, c'est qu'ils me partent la poisse. Là, il y a 2 jours, les gendarmes m'ont rentré dans la voiture. Elle était devant chez moi, mais la voiture est épave. Beaucoup de chance. Beaucoup de chance. Et l'excuse, c'est le café avait une poussière dans l'œil. Vous y croyez, vous? Ben, moi, malheureusement. Oh putain, c'est quoi ce bordel encore, putain. Ça fait que ça, c'est incroyable. On essaie de trouver des solutions, mais il n'y a rien qui marche. Cherche, mon chien, cherche. Il y a quelque chose? Oh putain. Ça devient bizarre. What the... Oh putain, ça m'a piqué. Ah. Putain, c'est quoi ça? Mais c'est quoi ce délire? C'est quoi ce délire, putain de merde? Oh là là. Putain, c'est quoi ce délire? Putain de merde. Ça devient n'importe quoi ce baraque. Si vous avez des idées, des conseils. Ah, des idées, des conseils, je suis preneur. Honnêtement, ça... Oh putain, c'était quoi ça? Oh fuck off. Oh sa mère. C'était quoi ça, putain? C'était quoi cette merde? Fille. Ah, putain. Ah, fille. Qu'est-ce qui t'arrive? Non. Non. Mais non. C'est quoi ce délire? Mais c'est quoi ce délire, putain de ça? C'est quoi ce voix de sa mère? Putain. Sa mère.
He claims to feel fingers pressing along his spine, then shouts out in pain as the camera lurches violently, as if something struck him. Then it got worse. The television switches on by itself, blasting loud, dramatic music into the dark room, and his dog stands near the glass door, with her tail tucked, too frightened to move. He uses the remote to shut it off, but within minutes, it turns back on, this time changing channels and raising its own volume, while the remote sits on the floor in front of it. Some viewers immediately pointed to poltergeist activity, a term used to describe a type of disturbance associated with physical force and object manipulation rather than a simple haunting. But the man's response to all of this is what makes the second clip even more unsettling, because rather than leave, he keeps confronting it. Watch.
Prochaine vidéo, j'ai décidé de me battre contre cette chose malveillante.
Horrible. Ça fait un moment que j'ai pas fait de vidéo, mais là ça empire. De jour en jour. Des marques, des griffes. C'est insupportable. Putain. Ah, c'est toi qui me fais peur. Alors, il y a quelqu'un? Putain, c'est insupportable. Putain. Putain, c'est quoi cette merde encore? Non, mais c'est pas possible.
He descends the same staircase again, speaking in a tense, hushed voice, saying things are getting worse day by day. Marks, scratches, unbearable. His dog startles him in the dark. Then a loud bang erupts from somewhere off camera. The camera whips sideways, and from inside a closed toy chest, a child's musical melody begins playing on its own. He opens the lid. The music cuts off the moment he slams it shut. For some viewers, a toy activating inside a sealed chest with no one near it lands differently than anything electronic. It feels deliberate, like something announcing itself. And if that's true, the question isn't whether it's still down there, it's whether it ever planned to stop. Now in this next clip, a man is riding his motorcycle alone down a dark, isolated road at night, heading to a wedding, when something on the roadside stops him cold. At that hour, there's usually nothing to see except the road ahead, so when something appears in the distance, it immediately stands out. Watch.
Fuck, man. Oh, fuck, bastard! Oh, shit! Oh, shit, man! Oh, shit, man! Oh!
As his headlight stretches forward, it catches the outline of a figure walking along the road, tall, pale, and unnaturally still in the way it carries itself, not reacting to the approaching motorcycle, not stepping aside, just continuing forward, like it doesn't even acknowledge him being there. And that's where it starts to feel wrong. Some viewers believe what he encountered could have been a ghost, the kind often described in roadside sightings, figures that appear briefly, usually at night, sometimes tied to past accidents or tragedies, known to show up without warning and disappear just as quickly leaving the person who saw them questioning what they just experienced. So if you were riding down that same road, alone, and that figure appeared in your headlights, would you slow down and try to understand what you're looking at? Or would you keep going and not look back? Now, in this next video, a man claims that every single night when he returns to his home, something is already there waiting for him, and he decides to prove it. The building itself looks abandoned in stretches, a barrack-style structure at the end of a dark gravel path, lit only by a single street lamp overhead. One night, he hears footsteps like someone running around the house. Shortly after, this happens.
I don't know what that was, so I'm gonna set up my camera here. I can watch down the hallway.
Some viewers believe this kind of activity points directly to a poltergeist, but until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved. The following video was recorded inside a small frozen yogurt shop sometime after closing by a man who'd been dealing with unexplained activity in the building for a while. Flickering lights, strange sounds, the kind of persistent low-level strangeness that you can almost convince yourself to ignore until you can't anymore. On this particular night, He and a woman he works with were still inside after hours trying to retrieve her keys from the back room, and he decided to pull his phone out and film what was happening. He mentions, almost in disbelief, that the lights had already started flickering again, and this wasn't the first time.
Okay guys, we were literally just about to leave my store when shit just started flickering again. This is the second time it's happened. My car's over there, and...
I'm shaking right now.
Okay, and her keys are in the bag.
We need to go. We need to go get my keys.
And the light turned on.
I don't want to go.
Okay, well, I'm gonna literally record this whole thing just so you guys can see what happened. I'm literally so scared. Okay, okay, something... The bathroom light's on too.
It's like, bro, why are my keys on the floor? They were not there. Like, my dad put them on the desk. Like, oh my god. What the hell?
This is literally insane.
The crash erupts out of nowhere from somewhere deeper in the building. No visible source, no explanation, and what follows is pure chaos. Both of them sprinting toward the back office in a full panic. But then they find her keys lying on the floor. She's insistent that she left them on the desk, and the man confirms he didn't see them there either. That alone is unsettling. Displaced objects are one of the most commonly reported signs of poltergeist-type activity. The kind of presence that doesn't just make noise, but physically interacts with the environment, moving things deliberately, as if to be noticed. Then, it got worse. The second clip picks up shortly after, with the two of them still inside, watching the security monitors in the back office while the cameras around the store continue to flicker. They decide they need to leave. They're already nearly an hour past closing, and as they make their way toward the exit, something comes flying out of the darkness right past the camera. Watch.
Okay guys, we've been sitting in the back for like 20 minutes now, and we're just watching the cameras, and stuff is still flickering and going on, but nothing happened back here, and we need to go home, and this is so freaking terrifying.
We're 50 minutes past our shift because of this shit.
We closed at 10, so we need to like, it's so dark because all the light switches are over here.
Stop it, stop it. Oh, fuck.
Okay, this is what I mean. This room is over. This is...
Oh my god.
This is what we're dealing with.
Oh my god, yo, what the bro, Nick, did you this on purpose?
No,
I'm gonna beat the shit out of you, Nick.
Stop! You're literally... Are you...
No, wait, no. Nah.
No. We literally looked away for like 2 seconds.
You can see it cut through the frame before clattering off screen, and both of them bolt straight for the door. The nervous laughter outside is the kind that comes when you're too shaken to process what just happened any other way. But the most unsettling detail comes when he turns the camera back through the glass front door. 2 metal chairs that were upright moments earlier are now tipped over on the floor, and neither of them touched them. He says he only looked away for a few seconds. Poltergeist cases like this one tend to follow a pattern where the activity doesn't just repeat, it escalates, becoming more physical and more direct over time, as though whatever is present is testing how much it can do before someone finally leaves. He says he's planning to do an overnight stay to try to make contact. What do you think will happen if he does? This next video was recorded inside a family home using 2 mounted security cameras, one in a bedroom, one in the dining room, and the footage spans 2 separate dates in February of 2026, both captured in the early hours of the morning. In the bedroom clip, recorded just after 2 a.m., an older woman, a younger woman, and a child are all asleep, completely still. Nothing in the room is moving. Listen closely. A quiet, disembodied male-sounding voice is heard whispering a name, Naneng, into a room where everyone is asleep. Then in the dining room, footage recorded just after 5 a.m., the same kind of voice speaks again in an empty room, saying the name Len, seconds before a teenage girl walks out of a hallway door on her own. And back in the bedroom, at the exact same timestamp, the voice speaks once more, this time with what sounds like a questioning inflection, calling out while the entire family remains completely unconscious. So if you listen carefully, something is calling their names, and not one of them heard it. Now in this next clip, a man is walking through a large concrete drainage tunnel, the kind covered in graffiti, with a shallow stream running along the floor, when something in the darkness ahead stops him cold. He'd gone in alone, recording on his phone, moving through the echoing pipe with nothing but the ambient glow of his camera lighting the way. The tunnel stretched ahead of him, dark and narrow, and for a moment everything seemed quiet. Then, at around the 15-second mark, a sharp metallic clicking sound echoes out from somewhere deep in the darkness. He stops walking. He calls out, "Watch."
What the hell? Hello?
What answers him back isn't a person. A low, guttural sound, somewhere between a growl and a distorted whisper, rolls back through the tunnel in response to his voice. And then, as his eyes adjust to the darkness, you can make out the shape standing at the far end. Tall, impossibly thin, 2 points of white light where the eyes should be. The enhanced replay at the end makes it even harder to dismiss. The figure's limbs are long and spindly, its skin pale and gaunt, and it stands completely motionless right up until the moment it lunges and lets out a sustained, piercing shriek that sounds nothing like a human being. He runs. A lot of viewers immediately called it a crawler, a modern internet label for pale, thin, humanoid figures, reported in isolated tunnels and underground spaces, usually described by their unnatural proportions and the way they move. Others think the glowing eyes point to something else entirely, something that doesn't fit neatly into any category. Skeptics argue it could be a person with a torch, but that explanation gets harder to hold onto when you hear what came out of that tunnel. So what exactly was standing in the dark, waiting? The following video was recorded inside a 1920s home during the daytime, which, honestly, makes it harder to dismiss than most. The man filming had been upstairs watching TV when he heard a banging sound coming from the living room below. He says there's nobody else in the house. As he makes his way down the stairs and through the hallway, past taxidermy, Venetian masks, old framed pictures, and a crucifix on the wall, he mentions that some of his haunted objects from a previous home are now kept here, though nothing has ever happened with them. He calls out into the empty rooms, no response, just the steady ticking of a grandfather clock and the feeling that something is waiting. Watch.
It's banging in the living room. There's nobody else in the house. I've just been upstairs watching TV. Some of my old haunted objects from the old house are in here, but nothing's ever happened. Hello? Hello? Oh. Whoa! Shit. Oh my god. What? What the hell? Whoa. I'm not staying in there. Oh my god. Oh, it's even colder in here. What is that noise? Hello? Oh my god. Well, it looks like my objects are back at it again, doesn't it? What the hell? What the hell? What the hell? I am getting out of here. What the hell?
Two events hit almost back to back. A taxidermy bird on the fireplace mantel flaps its wings suddenly, then the door slams shut on its own with a heavy metallic crash. Then in the dining room, a chair is violently thrown backward across the floor. He screams. He's done. If you look at how quickly these events escalate, bird, door, chair, all within about a minute, it fits a pattern that paranormal researchers often describe as poltergeist behavior, where physical objects are moved or thrown with what seems like deliberate escalating force. The term poltergeist comes from the German for noisy ghost, and what makes these cases distinct is the physical aggression, not just shadows or sounds, but objects acting against gravity. Skeptics will say the taxidermy bird could be mechanical, that the door and chair could be rigged, but his reaction, the shaky hands, the swearing, the decision to just leave, that's difficult to fake convincingly. He even notes a second chair had shifted by the time he looked back. So what set it all off? Now in this next clip, a man is filming inside his home just 3 days after losing his brother Chris. And what you're about to witness isn't terrifying, so much as it is deeply unsettling in a quiet, personal way. He's moving through a dimly lit room at night, emotional but calm, speaking directly to his brother's presence as if Chris might actually be listening. At one point, he stops the camera on a child's plastic toy kitchen set sitting against the wall, green and white, completely still. He asks softly, "Is that you, Chris? Do it again. Watch."
That's you, Chris. Do it again. I feel your presence, bro. I feel your presence. Do it again. Holy shit balls.
What did I miss?
The burner on the toy stove lights up with a flashing red glow and emits an electronic sizzling sound. Then, after it goes quiet, he says it again. Do it again, and the toy activates a second time, this time playing a completely different sound sequence. Many people who've experienced grief report moments exactly like this one, where an object associated with family or routine seems to respond at just the right moment. Others think the timing is too precise to dismiss. You decide. This next video was recorded inside a cluttered garage, filmed by a man who had been about to lock up for the night when something stopped him. He claims that just before he started recording, he heard a laugh coming from the back of the garage. Not a voice, not a knock, but a laugh. And he describes it as the most unnerving, weird laugh he's ever heard, seeming to come from somewhere near one of the riding mowers. So instead of leaving, he pulled out his phone and started moving through the space, sweeping the light across the concrete floor, the shelves, the equipment, trying to find any explanation for what he'd just heard. He hadn't found anything yet. Watch.
Alright, so I was just closing this up. Like just locking it up to head out. And I closed the bay and I was closing this door. I shut the lights off, getting ready to close this door, and heard, I swear, I heard a laugh. And it was the most unnerving, and it was such a weird laugh. It sounded like it was coming from that back mower, like something was sitting on that back mower. I should have left it alone. I don't even know what that was, where it came from, where it went. But I'm not sticking around to find out, so I'm out of here. Screw this. I'm out of here. I am not sticking around.
A sudden, sharp, metallic crash explodes off-screen with enough force to make him physically flinch, and when he swings the light toward the source, there's nothing there. No fallen object, no obvious cause, nothing on the floor that wasn't there before. His voice afterward is shaky, and you can hear him repeating that he should have just left, that he doesn't know where the sound came from or where it went. Some think residual energy in cluttered, closed-off spaces can build tension and release it violently, almost like pressure, finding an outlet. And the laugh he heard before he even started filming, that detail is hard to shake. What exactly was waiting for him in that garage? This next clip was recorded by a woman at night, sitting in her car, describing something she'd witnessed inside her home. And what makes it so hard to dismiss is the detail she kept coming back to. She explains that on the same day she played Surah al-Baqarah, one of the most protective recitations in Islamic tradition, through the house, she passed by her children's room and noticed one of the toys doing something she couldn't explain. Her daughter's Peppa Pig stuffed toy lying on the bed. Watch.
I put Baqarah in my house. That same day, I am like just passing by my kid's room, and basically I see one of the toys doing this. I first saw it, I thought, are you really seeing things? Because ain't no way that thing is moving its eyes. There is no way it's moving its eyes. Does that make sense? No, it does not. This is your child's little toy that they always love and sleep with. My daughter loves it. That thing is her life, okay? My daughter and that monkey chump are the same. She loves that little toy. So I'm like, ain't no way. It has to be my eyes. So I'm looking at it. My son comes. He's also looking at it. Both of us are like looking at each other. We're like, oh, I don't know. Let's use the camera. And then we use the camera and we see for our eyes. First time in real life, this toy was moving its eyes. What could it be? What do you guys think it is? Do you think it's jinn?
If you look closely, the toy's plastic eye slowly rotates upward, turning, according to her, to look directly at the camera. She says she thought her eyes were playing tricks on her at first, so she called her son over, and both of them stood there watching it together before deciding to film it. Many in the Muslim community watching this immediately pointed to jinn, supernatural beings described in Islamic tradition as created from smokeless fire, capable of inhabiting objects, invisible to the naked eye, but very much present. Jinn aren't considered innately evil, but certain ones are believed to attach to children's belongings specifically. She ends the clip asking the audience the same question she still can't answer herself. What do you think it is? The following video was recorded by a team of paranormal investigators in Carson City as they explored one of the state's oldest operating hotels, the St. Charles Hotel. This place has a long and unsettling history. Over the years, there have been multiple documented deaths within the building, including reports of self-harm and unexplained incidents that have left certain rooms with a reputation no guest wants to stay in for long. Staff and visitors have shared stories of footsteps in empty hallways, voices behind closed doors, and sudden temperature drops or spikes that seem to come out of nowhere. Some even claim that certain rooms feel overwhelmingly heavy, like stepping into a space where something hasn't fully moved on. So when investigators Patrick and Jason arrived, they already knew they might experience something unusual, but they didn't expect it to happen almost immediately. Watch.
Door.
Whoa.
What did it say? 198, 3 to 13.
Whew. Near logical creature.
313 degrees.
Can you make this box go off some more?
82.
Over here.
What the hell? Dude, there was somebody, 503. Dude, I went back in here and it went to 503. If I should leave, can you make this go to just really, really hot? If I should get out of here, 500, this went to 500, 150, 590. Did you get it?
I'm sure I did.
Do you know? Oh, it's so hot in 224.
172.
Dude, it is
179.
Are you right here? Yeah. No, it's like holding my hand right now. It's like hot right around my hand.
It's super hot right here.
And it's holding there. Something flashed on the SLS too. Can you make that go even higher? Make it. Yeah. It smells like it's on fire. Yeah. 151. Are you on fire?
39.
Is it going back down?
40. 111. 172. 151. Yeah, it hasn't stuck this like this ever.
No.
Inside the room, the temperature begins to fluctuate rapidly, rising and falling in a way that doesn't match normal environmental changes. And as time goes on, the energy in the space feels different, heavier, and more intense. It reaches a point where even they decide they've had enough. But just before they left, they capture something neither of them can explain. Watch closely.
There appears to still be quite a bit of activity inside the St. Charles Hotel, and even some guests that never checked out.
Right after a strange light anomaly appears, something else happens. A white, shadow-like figure can be seen quickly moving and then disappearing into the bathroom. And this is where things start to get really unsettling. People think it could be tied to the building's past, possibly the spirit of someone who once occupied that very room, still lingering, still moving through familiar spaces. But there's another theory that's been circulating, that the light anomaly may have been a kind of manifestation point, a moment where whatever was there gathered enough energy to briefly take form before disappearing again. So what do you think that was? A trick of the light, or something that didn't want to be seen for long? Now in this next video, a man begins documenting a series of events inside his home, and what makes it so unsettling is how gradual everything feels at first, almost like something easing its way in without being noticed. On the very first day, he hears knocking coming from one of the walls, and like most people would, he brushes it off. He assumes it's the house settling, maybe pipes shifting, or temperature changes causing expansion. Nothing that immediately suggests anything unusual. By the second day, the sounds return, but this time, they change. It's no longer knocking, it's scratching. Still, he tries to rationalize it, convincing himself it could be mice in the walls or something small moving through the insulation. Uncomfortable? Yes, but still explainable, at least in his mind. But by the third day, whatever was happening stopped being subtle. Watch this.
Llegó la tercera noche que no sé si escuchan ese ruido, pero estoy solo, ¿me entiendes? Estoy solo en la pieza y estoy solo en mi casa. O sea, no, boludo. No, amigo, no. No, boludo, se acaba de mover. ¿Qué? No, miren, para que vean que abajo no hay nadie, boludo. Posta. O sea, no estoy jodiendo ni nada. O sea, te juro que no hay nadie, estoy yo solo acá.
And this is where things take a different turn entirely, because viewers quickly started pointing out something in the room that he didn't seem to question at first. The empty chair. It's positioned in a way that feels intentional, almost like it's meant to be used, and it's facing a mirror. Now, this might seem like a small detail, but in paranormal discussions, it's often brought up as something you shouldn't overlook. Some believe that leaving an empty chair like that can act as a kind of invitation, especially if it's placed as though someone is expected to sit there. And when that chair is facing a mirror, it adds another layer entirely, because mirrors are often thought of as gateways or amplifiers, reflecting more than just physical images. At this point, he has just one question. How does he stop all these from happening? The following video was recorded by a man who goes by Derry, someone who works at the Valley Plaza Mall, a location that, while still active during the day, has quietly picked up its own share of unsettling rumors after hours. Some people who have worked late shifts there have mentioned hearing footsteps in empty corridors, distant voices when entire sections are closed, and even the faint sound of children playing or laughing long after the mall has cleared out. Most brush it off as echoes traveling through the building, but not everyone is convinced. While walking through the mall, Derry suddenly heard something that made him stop, the sound of kids laughing. The problem is, he was completely alone, so he pulled out his camera. Watch this.
On everything I love, I just heard a group of kids over here laughing. On everything, bro. I just heard a group of kids laughing. Where the hell the kids at?
What the fuck? Bro, I know I'm not tripping, bro. I just heard a whole bunch of kids laughing, bro. You hear that shit? What the? Bro, I'm in the mall by myself. Where the is it coming from? I know y'all heard that shit. Bro, what the? I'm about to get about this bitch. What the f is that? Staring right at me. Right there. My heart beating fast as f. I'm scared as fuck. There's a person right there in a red shirt right in front of me. Right there, y'all see him. There's a person right there. Bro, what the f? No, he just standing there. What the fuck? Bro, look, he just standing there, bro. Bro. I'm out of here.
There have been claims that certain locations can hold on to emotional imprints, especially places where large numbers of people gather over time. If that's true, then sounds like this might not be random at all. They might be echoes of moments that never fully left. This next video was recorded inside Willard Library, a place widely known not just for its books, but for something far more unsettling that has kept its reputation alive for decades. The library is said to be haunted by a spirit often referred to as the Grey Lady, a presence that staff and visitors have reported seeing for years. People have described catching glimpses of a woman in grey moving between shelves, hearing footsteps in empty hallways, and even witnessing objects shift when no one is around. Some employees have even claimed that certain areas of the library feel heavier than others, like you're being watched the moment you step in. On this particular day, a librarian was closing up when she suddenly started hearing a strange sound. Listen closely.
I can hear you back there. Why don't you show yourself to me? I know this is your home, and I mean you no disrespect. I'm just curious about you, like why you're here and who you are. My name's Missy. I'd love to know more about you.
After the video was shared, people quickly came forward with their own experiences. One man described how he had only been inside for about 10 minutes, simply printing a document for work, when he suddenly felt someone standing right next to him. He said the feeling was immediate, chills running through his entire body, and when he looked, there was no one there. What made it worse was the reaction of the staff member nearby. She saw him panic and calmly said, Yeah, that happens all the time. He left immediately and never returned. Stories like this are exactly why many believe the presence in that library isn't just residual, but aware. Some think the so-called Grey Lady may still be wandering the halls, attached to the building for reasons unknown, occasionally making herself known to those who happen to cross her path. Others believe the energy in the building has simply built up over time, creating moments where the line between what's seen and unseen becomes thinner. Now in this next video, a man who is known for collecting statues with unusual and often tragic histories shares something he captured inside his home, and unlike most of his collection, this one seems to react. Over time, he had built a habit of researching the background of each piece he brought in, often finding that many of them were tied to loss, memory, or emotional significance, which is exactly why some people believe objects like these can sometimes carry more than just their physical form. On this particular day, he was simply playing a song when this happened. Watch closely. If you pay attention, the statue appears to move, not dramatically, but just enough to raise questions. Some believe that objects with heavy emotional or historical backgrounds can, in rare cases, become vessels for lingering energy, especially if they were once meaningful to someone who experienced deep attachment or loss. According to this theory, the song may not have been random at all. It could have triggered something familiar, something that resonated with whatever is tied to the object. So what do you think this was? A coincidence, or something reacting to a memory it never let go of? The following video was recorded by a woman named Alex, who began noticing something unsettling about the house right next to hers, a place that, by all accounts, should have been completely empty. The neighbor who lived there had sadly passed away after a heart attack, and since then, the house had remained untouched. No family moved in, no renovations, no new tenants, just a quiet, closed space that hadn't shown any sign of life for a long time, until Alex started noticing something that didn't add up. For several nights in a row, lights inside the house would suddenly turn on, and then off again, at different times, with no clear pattern. So one night, she decided to record it. Watch this.
It just looked like somebody, or it still looks like someone's looking out the window, but I can't tell. Does that look like a whole person standing there in that window? Like kind of looking out?
It's a refrigerator.
Okay.
I can see the handle of it.
No one.
No.
That's the neighbor's.
No. That dark window.
But that's his bedroom. That other bedroom.
That window was open. That window wasn't open.
No.
That window hasn't been open.
No.
You look at that house every day.
No one's been in this house since he passed, other than when they came and redid the floors and everything to get it so people can move in it, but no one's even come and looked at the property. Let me try something. Okay, I haven't done this filter in a minute. Let me see if it works. Hold on. Okay. Alright, I hate when it does that. Let's see if I can get it. Let me go out to my porch real quick. Alright.
Oh.
It's doing that every time. No, I know.
Leave it alone.
Let me try it one more time. All right, so I just turned the filter off so I can zoom in one more time. Y'all, I don't know what's going on, but it's not normal. He won't let me go over there and investigate any further. There's that open window again, and the light's not even on over there. It's just literally on in his living room, and that's where he always chilled, was in his living room.
I know. But...
All right, I'm going to end it here, y'all. I'll update you in a little while if I see anything.
Her first thought was simple. Maybe the lights were on a timer. But when she reached out to the landlord to confirm, the answer made things worse. There was no timer installed. No one had been inside the house. And according to him, no new tenant had moved in. So if that's the case, then who or what is turning the lights on? If the former owner had a strong attachment to that space, some believe it's possible that part of him never truly left, that what Alex is seeing could be a presence continuing its normal patterns, unaware or unwilling to move on. But like always, you be the judge. The following video is about a man who believes he's living in a haunted apartment, and not because of what single incident, but because of a series of small, unsettling experiences that have slowly built up over time. He's mentioned hearing movement in rooms he just left, faint sounds at night when everything should be quiet, and that constant feeling of being watched, especially when the lights are off. One evening, something happened that he couldn't explain away. Watch closely.
Watch.
Tell me I'm not on fucking crack, dude. Hell no. What the f? Dude, I'm out of here.
In the moment the light switches on, you can briefly see what looks like a figure entering the frame. But almost instantly, as the light fully comes back, there's nothing there. No movement, no shadow, no one standing where something clearly just was. There's a theory that whatever it is might be avoiding direct visibility, choosing moments where it can appear just enough to be noticed, but never long enough to be confirmed. And if that's the case, then it wasn't caught by accident. It let itself be seen. And if you think nothing was there, then what walked into frame the moment the light came on? And more importantly, where did it go? Until more updates are shared, this remains a mystery. The following video was recorded by a man who had recently moved into an old house built back in 1912, a property with enough history behind it to already make him uneasy before anything strange even started happening. According to him, the previous tenant had suddenly left without much explanation, and after settling in, he began experiencing odd disturbances throughout the house that pushed him into researching the property's past. During a late-night spirit box session, one word reportedly kept coming through over and over again: fire. After digging deeper, he discovered that the basement of the house had been the site of an accidental fire sometime around 1965, a detail that suddenly made the atmosphere in the home feel a lot heavier. Then one night, while standing in a lit room looking down a dark hallway, he caught this on camera. Watch.
It's my hand.
At the far end of the hallway, a guitar begins to sway on its own, slowly at first, before the movement starts growing stronger. Skeptics pointed toward possible drafts or airflow as the most logical explanation. But what unsettled viewers was how the motion seemed to build, almost like something unseen kept interacting with it. Paranormal theories surrounding old homes often connect fires to lingering energy, especially when the event was sudden or traumatic. Some believe places marked by tragedy can hold on to fragments of that moment for decades, replaying themselves through unexplained sounds, movement, or disturbances, tied to certain parts of the house. And considering the repeated mention of fire during the spirit box session, many viewers think whatever is in that hallway may be connected to what happened in the basement all those years ago. Whatever started the movement, he never found the source,